The unforgiving hour unravels the hidden fractures of a small southern town, where appearances mask prejudice and a single act of violence shatters lives. When Hannah Wright's carefully crafted reputation is destroyed by a viral video of her assaulting Jamal Carter, an old hometown resident, both are forced to confront the dark truths about their pasts. As family secrets and painful legacies emerge, Hannah and Jamal must navigate a turbulent path of redemption, self-reckoning, and unexpected connection. In a community divided by scandal, will forgiveness be found, and at what cost? The Unforgiving Hour is a powerful tale of reckoning, redemption, and the haunting echoes of family legacies. In a quiet southern town where appearances mean everything, Hannah Wright has built her life on the illusion of perfection. Admired by her community for her charity work and respected as a pillar of traditional values, she hides a simmering intolerance behind a friendly smile. But when a confrontation with Jamal Carter, a black man who's returned home to care for his ailing mother, spirals out of control, Hannah's facade shatters. Her cruel and shocking assault on Jamal is caught on camera, unleashing a scandal that rocks the town and upends her life. Jamal, reeling from the attack and its exposure, is forced to confront wounds from his past that he thought he'd left behind. As the video goes viral, the town that once ignored his existence now views him as either a martyr or a target. Yet Jamal wants neither role. He simply wants peace. The fallout pushes Hannah to her breaking point, isolating her from friends and family, until she starts to question the roots of her prejudice. As she delves into her past, Hannah discovers an unsettling truth. Her family's history is intertwined with Jamal's in ways she never expected. Buried secrets of betrayal, lies, and greed come to light, forcing both Hannah and Jamal to reckon with a legacy they didn't choose but can no longer ignore. In an unforgettable twist, Hannah and Jamal's shared history reveals that redemption and forgiveness are not as simple as an apology or a second chance. They are earned through a grueling journey of self-reckoning, sacrifice, and painful self-truth. The Unforgiving Hour is an unflinching exploration of the hidden costs of prejudice and the lengths people will go to reclaim their humanity. Hannah is in her 30s, with shoulder-length blonde hair, usually styled in loose waves. Her blue eyes are sharp and piercing, giving her an air of confidence that masks her insecurities. She maintains a meticulously polished appearance, typically dressed in tailored blouses and skirts, projecting an image of sophistication. Growing up in a conservative household, Hannah was taught that her family's status was tied to maintaining a proper image. She excelled in school and quickly rose up the social ladder, becoming a local leader and philanthropist. However, her privileged upbringing came with an ingrained sense of superiority that she struggles to acknowledge. The scandal resulting from her attack on Jamal forces her to confront the contradictions in her beliefs and actions. Jamal is in his 30s, with a tall, athletic build. He has short black hair and warm brown eyes that reflect both kindness and pain. He often dresses in simple, casual clothing, choosing comfort over style as he navigates the challenges of returning to his hometown. Jamal grew up in the same small town, but left to pursue a career in music in the city. He returned to care for his mother after her health declined, bringing back a mix of nostalgia and resentment for the prejudices he faced in his youth. The violent encounter with Hannah rekindles old traumas, leading him to seek justice and healing as he grapples with the complexities of his identity. Jamal's mother, Clara, is in her 50s, with graying hair that she wears in a loose bun. She has deep lines on her face that tell stories of resilience and hardship. Her presence is nurturing, and she often dresses in soft, comfortable fabrics that reflect her warmth. Clara worked multiple jobs to support Jamal after his husband abandoned them when he was a child. She instilled in him the values of hard work and determination. As her health deteriorates, she becomes increasingly concerned about the consequences of Jamal's encounter with Hannah, fearing that it could lead to more violence and division. Her struggle to maintain her dignity in the face of her illness serves as a backdrop to Jamal's journey. Derek is in his late 50s, rugged and practical. His short hair is flecked with gray, and his uniform is always clean and crisp. He has a rugged appearance, with weathered skin that betrays years spent on the beat. A lifelong city dweller, Derek has seen it all. He believes in law and order, but struggles with the changing dynamics of race relations in his community. He is caught between his duty to uphold the law and his personal beliefs, often caught in the crossfire between the townspeople and the complexities of the cases he handles. Derek's interactions with Hannah and Jamal force him to confront his own prejudices. The Wright family home, an elegant, sprawling colonial on the outskirts of town. The Wright family home is meticulously maintained, with manicured gardens and classic architectural features. The interior is tastefully decorated, reflecting Hannah's obsession with appearances. This setting symbolizes the facade Hannah has built around her life and the oppressive expectations of her social circle. Jamal's childhood home, a modest, single-story home in a predominantly black neighborhood. Jamal's childhood home is filled with memories but also bears the weight of past struggles. The interior is cluttered but inviting, adorned with family photos and mementos from Jamal's youth. As Jamal returns to care for his mother, the home becomes a sanctuary and a reminder of the challenges he has faced. The town square, the heart of the town. The town square features a mix of local businesses, a gazebo, and a park where community events take place. It serves as a stage for the unfolding drama, with the incident between Hannah and Jamal becoming a focal point of gossip and division in the town. The town square represents both the unity of the community and its deep divisions. The police station, a small, unassuming building on the edge of the town square. The police station is where Officer Derek Lawson works. It reflects the police force's struggle to address issues of race and justice in the community. The stark, sterile environment contrasts with the personal conflicts Derek faces as he navigates his role as a protector in a town fraught with tension. The church, the local church, where Hannah is a prominent member, features traditional stained glass windows and a large congregation hall. It symbolizes the town's moral compass, but it also serves as a backdrop for the hypocrisy and judgment Hannah experiences in the wake of the scandal. The church becomes a battleground of ideologies as community members deal with the aftermath of the incident. The town hall meeting setting, town hall filled with community members. Hannah gives a speech about unity and community values, establishes Hannah's character and the racial tensions in the town. Jamal's return setting, bus station as Jamal arrives. Jamal reflects on his past, feeling alienated, establishes Jamal's internal conflict and purpose for his return. The grocery store meeting, local grocery store. Hannah makes a racist comment toward Jamal, increases the conflict, revealing the town's divisions. The tense phone call setting, Jamal's childhood home. Clara expresses her fears for Jamal's safety, increases Jamal's tension, hinting at past struggles. The park incident, local park during a community event. Jamal and Hannah clash after a spilled drink leads to a confrontation, sets the central conflict in motion. Hannah's assault triggers a public incident. Aftermath of the incident setting, empty park as the event winds down. Jamal retreats home, reflecting on the encounter. Hannah rationalizes her behavior. Cause and effect. The repercussions of the confrontation create future tensions between the characters. The viral video, Jamal's house, watching news coverage. Jamal sees the incident go viral on social media. Cause and effect. The public nature of the incident amplifies its impact, drawing community attention. Community reaction setting. Town square filled with chatter and gossip. Several townspeople discuss the incident, taking sides. Reveals division within the community and foreshadows rising tensions. Hannah's isolation setting. Hannah's house, filled with family photos. Hannah's friends begin to distance themselves. Her daughter questions her behavior. Hannah begins to experience social consequences, forcing her to confront her actions. Jamal's support network, Jamal's house, where he meets up with old friends. Jamal discusses the incident with supportive friends. Establishes Jamal's resilience and sense of community, contrasting with Hannah's isolation. A supermarket confrontation, the supermarket again, tense atmosphere. Action. Jamal confronts Hannah during another shopping trip. Cause and effect. Raises the stakes, intensifying the conflict and revealing deeper truths about both characters. City Hall, tense. A community meeting is called to address the incident. Hannah and Jamal attend. The meeting turns chaotic as emotions run high, illustrating the deep divisions in the community and leading to personal confrontations. Uncovering truths, Hannah's reflection, Hannah's room, filled with reminders of her former status. Hannah reflects on her childhood and the prejudices instilled in her. Her inner struggle begins to surface, hinting at potential change. Jamal's resolve. Jamal's home. Looking through old family photos, Jamal decides to speak out publicly against racism in his town. This decision signifies his commitment to tackling the issues head-on. The police station where Officer Lawson works. Derek discusses the incident with colleagues. He expresses his concerns about racial tensions. Sets up Derek's inner conflict, hinting at his desire for justice. Clara shares stories from her past, revealing her struggles with racism. Deepens Jamal's understanding of his family history, motivating his fight against prejudice. The city protest setting. The city square, bustling with protesters. Jamal leads a peaceful protest. Hannah watches from the sidelines, struggling with her feelings. The protest highlights the city's divisions and complicates Hannah's feelings of guilt and anger, a turning point setting. The city square. After the protest, an altercation erupts between protesters and counter-protesters. Tensions rise, leading to a moment of violence that changes everything for Hannah and Jamal. Facing the aftermath. Aftermath of the protest. Jamal's home. The chaos of the protest is still felt. Jamal and his friends discuss the violence and its implications. Raises questions about the effectiveness of peaceful protest, forcing Jamal to reconsider his approach. Hannah's public apology setting. The local church, filled with community members, Hannah tries to address the community and apologize, but her words fall on deaf ears. Hannah's failed apology alienates her even further, deepening her isolation. Jamal's decision to speak out setting. Jamal's living room. Arguing with friends, Jamal decides to give a speech at church to share his experience. This decision creates tension as Jamal and Hannah prepare to face off again. Derek's dilemma. Derek's office at the police station. Derek considers reporting the police brutality he witnessed during the protest. Highlights Derek's struggle between duty and morality, setting the stage for his eventual action. The church speech. The church, filled with townspeople. Jamal gives an emotional speech about his experiences and the need for change. His words resonate with a few, but anger others, escalating the conflict at a confrontation in the parking lot setting. Church parking lot. After the speech, tensions rise when Hannah confronts Jamal after his speech, leading to a heated argument. Their confrontation reveals deeper truths, pushing both characters toward inevitable change. Revelations. Hannah's family history. Hannah's family home. Researching old family records, Hannah discovers a family secret that ties her ancestry to Jamal's family. This revelation forces Hannah to confront her prejudices and the complexities of her past. Jamal discovers Jamal's home by reviewing family documents. Jamal learns about the history of the land his family lived on, revealing ties to Hannah's family. This discovery prompts Jamal to rethink his approach to confronting Hannah. Tensions rise. The town square, crowded and charged with emotion. A second protest is organized, drawing supporters and opposition. The situation becomes increasingly volatile, foreshadowing a significant event. Shared history. A cafe where Hannah and Jamal unexpectedly meet. They have a tense conversation about their family's past. This scene deepens their connection and sets up the potential for understanding. City Hall. Filled with townspeople, a meeting is held to address the rising tensions. Jamal and Hannah are invited to speak. The meeting serves as a platform for both characters to express their truths, escalating the conflict. The breaking point setting. Outside City Hall. After the meeting, an altercation erupts between opposing sides, culminating in violence. This pivotal moment changes everything, leading to profound consequences for Hannah and Jamal. The aftermath. Jamal's home. Assessing the impact of the altercation, Jamal struggles with anger and disappointment over the violence that has erupted. The violence forces Jamal to confront the harsh realities of his community. Hannah's descent setting. Hannah's home. Overcome with guilt and shame, she struggles to deal with the aftermath of the confrontation. Feeling the weight of her action, Hannah begins to question her beliefs and the legacy she wants to leave behind. A community-divided setting. Town square, filled with protest signs and divided groups. Townspeople take sides, leading to more protests and tensions. The divide grows, forcing both characters to confront the consequences of their actions. Derek's position setting. Police station, where Derek makes a pivotal decision. Derek decides to speak out against the police brutality he has witnessed. His choice highlights the complexities of law enforcement on racial issues, showing his growth as a character. Public forum setting. City Hall, where a public forum is held to address the ongoing conflict. Jamal and Hannah are invited to speak. Tensions rise, their speeches lead to unexpected emotional breakthroughs, unexpected alliance setting. Outside City Hall after the forum, Jamal and Hannah find common ground and agree to work toward healing the community. This moment sets the stage for their evolving relationship and potential reconciliation beginning to heal. A local park, where community members gather, Jamal and Hannah lead a community discussion focused on healing. Their joint effort begins to foster dialogue within the community. Clara's support. Clara's home. Sharing a heartfelt moment, Clara encourages Jamal to forgive Hannah, emphasizing the importance of compassion. Clara's wisdom influences Jamal's perspective, shaping his journey toward forgiveness. Hannah's change of heart. Hannah's home. Reflecting on her past, Hannah discusses her accomplishments with her daughter, trying to model change. This scene highlights her growth and commitment to change. The community event, a local event celebrating diversity and unity. Jamal and Hannah attend together. Viewing the community as allies, their joint appearance signals a shift in community perception and fosters hope for reconciliation. A new understanding. A quiet coffee meeting where Jamal and Hannah meet privately. They share personal stories, deepening their understanding of each other. This moment of vulnerability strengthens their bond and lays the foundation for future collaborations. The way forward. Jamal's home. Planning future initiatives together, Jamal and Hannah outline plans for continued community engagement and dialogue, sets the stage for future healing by illustrating your commitment to change. New beginnings. Reflecting on the journey. Jamal's home. Recalling recent events, Jamal reflects on how the incident has changed him and the community, shows growth and resilience in the face of adversity. Hannah's redemption. Hannah's home. Sharing her experiences with her family. Hannah discusses her journey with her daughter, teaching her about compassion, shows her commitment to raising a new generation that values understanding. Community celebration. Town square. Filled with families celebrating diversity, the town comes together to celebrate progress made. Featuring food, music, and shared stories, reinforces community unity and sets a hopeful tone for the future. Jamal and Hannah's partnership. Local community center. Planning future events. Jamal and Hannah collaborate on initiatives that aim to foster dialogue and understanding. Your partnership means a Loda peaceful park bench where Jamal and Hannah sit together. They reflect on their journeys, the struggles they have faced, and the importance of healing. A powerful moment that the themes of forgiveness and redemption. Looking ahead setting. The city, vibrant and hopeful. The final scene shows the city coming together for a new event, symbolizing continued unity and progress. It ends on a hopeful note, suggesting that while challenges remain, the path to understanding is now firmly established. The air inside the town hall buzzed with murmured conversations and the occasional scrape of folding chairs across the linoleum floor. Hannah Wright stood at the podium, her polished demeanor firmly intact. A smile, carefully measured, graced her lips as she adjusted the microphone. The faint hum of fluorescent lights overhead buzzed in the silence that followed. Community, she began, clasping her hands gently on the edge of the podium, is built on trust, tradition, and mutual respect. The audience, a mix of local business owners, town officials, and longtime residents, nodded approvingly. Hannah's speeches were familiar, comforting, and well-rehearsed. She embodied the town's values: civility, charity, and faith. In a conservative southern town like theirs, appearances were everything, and Hannah had perfected hers. But as her speech carried on about shared values and the importance of unity, Jamal Carter was just arriving at the bus station on the other side of town. The bus station smelled of exhaust and stale coffee. Jamal Carter stepped off the bus, the weight of the duffel bag slung over his shoulder heavier than the belongings inside it. He took in the familiar streets, too narrow, too quiet, and lined with memories he wasn't ready to revisit. It had been 10 years since he'd left, chasing dreams in the city, with a guitar slung over his back and a stubborn hope in his heart. Now he was back, not as a rising musician, but as a son returning to care for his ailing mother. A pang of guilt gnawed at him as he thought of Clara, sitting alone in the old house that was slowly falling apart around her. Nostalgia mingled with bitterness, making every step back toward his childhood neighborhood feel like a reluctant march through the past. He kept his head low as he passed the grocery store, knowing full well that some people would still remember him, and not fondly. The town had been cold to his mother, and even colder to him, ever since his father had left them. Back to square one, he muttered to himself, adjusting his duffel bag and moving on. The next morning, Hannah slipped into the local grocery store, her polished appearance contrasting with the store's dull fluorescent lighting. She had a shopping list in hand, carefully curated for a charity dinner she was hosting that weekend. As she scanned the produce aisle, her gaze fell on a man standing near the bananas, Jamal Carter. He was taller than she remembered, with broader shoulders, but his face hadn't changed much. Her heart skipped, though she masked her surprise with a tight-lipped smile. "Jamal," she said, as if tasting the name for the first time in years. Jamal turned slowly, recognizing her immediately. The last time they crossed paths, he had been an awkward teenager, and she the queen of every local social event. But this time, something had shifted. "Hannah," he replied, his voice neutral. They stood there for a moment, two worlds meeting again under the sterile light of the grocery store. Hannah searched for something polite to say, but found herself faltering. A part of her wanted to express some form of kindness, but the words that tumbled out were far from that. "Back in town, I see," she said. "Didn't think we'd see you again. Not after how things turned out." Jamal stiffened, catching the edge in her tone. It wasn't the words, it was the way they were delivered. Polished, but laced with something ugly underneath. "Yeah," he said, his jaw tightening. "Guess life has a way of pulling you back." An awkward silence settled between them before Hannah gave a curt nod and turned away, gripping her shopping cart as if it could steady her. She felt the heat rise in her cheeks as she navigated the aisles, pretending not to notice the lingering presence of Jamal on the other side of the store. That evening, Jamal sat at his mother's kitchen table, sorting through old prescription bottles and unpaid medical bills. Clara watched him from her armchair, her tired eyes following his every movement. "I don't like you running into people like Hannah, right?" Clara said, her voice weary but firm. "She said nothing I haven't heard before," Jamal replied, brushing it off, though the encounter had left a bitter taste in his mouth. Clara leaned forward, her joints creaking under the effort. "People like her haven't changed, Jamal. They still think the same things. They just hide it better." Jamal sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "I'm not looking for trouble, Ma. Just here to take care of you." Clara's hand trembled as she reached for his. "I know, baby. But this town, it never did right by us. And now you're back in it." Jamal pressed his mother's hand gently, feeling the weight of her fear. He didn't need the reminder of how dangerous the town could be. He had lived it once, and now he was walking right back into it. 2 days later, the town hosted a community event at the local park. Hannah, dressed in a crisp white blouse, moved through the crowd with ease, shaking hands and exchanging pleasantries. Her daughter tugged at her skirt, asking for ice cream, but Hannah waved her off gently. As she approached the refreshment table, she noticed Jamal standing at the edge of the park, sipping from a plastic cup. Her stomach tightened, though she told herself there was no reason to feel uneasy. He was just another face in the crowd, nothing more. But then it happened. A child rushed past, bumping into Jamal and sending his drink spilling down his shirt. Hannah, startled, stepped forward instinctively. "Oh, I'm sure you're used to things not going your way," she said with a forced laugh, the words slipping out before she could stop them. Jamal froze. The park grew silent as eyes turned toward them. "What did you just say?" he asked, his voice low and steady, though a storm brewed behind his calm exterior. Hannah's cheeks burned as she realized what she had implied, but instead of apologizing, she doubled down. "It was just a joke. No need to be so sensitive." Jamal took a step closer, and the tension between them became palpable. The park, once filled with laughter, now felt like a powder keg waiting to explode. The confrontation between Hannah and Jamal didn't end there. Someone in the crowd pulled out a phone, recording every second of the encounter. By the next morning, the video had gone viral, setting off a wave of outrage that would ripple through the town for weeks to come. For Hannah, the fallout was swift and unforgiving. For Jamal, the incident reopened old wounds and new battles he wasn't ready to fight. And so, their paths, once crossed by chance, were now locked on a collision course neither could escape. Hannah Wright sat at her breakfast table, stirring her coffee mindlessly. The silence in her elegant kitchen felt heavier than usual. Across the table, her daughter, Sophie, played with her cereal, casting occasional glances at the phone between them. The video from the park incident, the one Hannah wished she could erase, was on every social media feed. It had been posted late the previous night, and by morning, the views had skyrocketed. Comments poured in, angry, mocking, and unforgiving. Some called her actions disgusting. Others questioned how someone so involved in community charity could reveal such hatred in a single moment. Her phone vibrated on the marble countertop. Another text from a church friend. "We need to talk." The message felt like a hammer to her chest. People who once praised her were now distancing themselves. Hannah rubbed her temples and tried to swallow the knot rising in her throat. "Mama?" Sophie asked hesitantly. "Why are people mad at you?" Hannah's grip tightened around her coffee mug. "It's complicated, sweetie." Sophie frowned. "Did you hurt that man?" Hannah opened her mouth but found no words that didn't taste like excuses. "I made a mistake," she said finally, her voice shaky. Sophie stared at her mother, confused, and returned to her cereal. Meanwhile, in his mother's modest living room, Jamal sat slumped on the couch, his phone buzzing nonstop. He swiped through countless notifications, texts from old friends, reporters requesting interviews, and a flood of comments from strangers, some expressing support, others accusing him of provoking the situation. Clara shuffled into the room, leaning heavily on her cane. She took one look at her son and sighed. "It's blowing up, isn't it?" Jamal nodded, tossing the phone onto the coffee table with a grimace. "People think I asked for this." Clara sat down beside him, her hands resting on his knee. "Don't let them get to you, baby. You didn't do anything wrong." Jamal leaned back, frustration simmering beneath the surface. "I came back to take care of you, not to start a war." Clara gave his knee a reassuring squeeze. "Sometimes the fight finds you, even when you're just trying to live." Jamal exhaled slowly, knowing his mother was right. The video had made him a symbol, whether he wanted it or not. And symbols came with expectations. Later that afternoon, Hannah arrived at the church, hoping for sanctuary. The familiar stained glass windows glimmered in the sunlight, and the wooden pews offered the same comfort they always had. But the warmth she sought was absent. The pastor greeted her with a tight-lipped smile. "Hannah, we need to talk." She followed him to his office, where he shut the door behind them. "You know how much the church values community leadership," he began, his tone measured but stern. "We've always appreciated your efforts. But the video, it's caused a lot of division." "I can explain," Hannah interjected, her voice brittle with desperation. The pastor raised a hand to stop her. "I believe you want to make this right, but people are angry. They need to see real change, not just words." Hannah's heart sank as the pastor's meaning became clear. He wasn't just offering advice, he was warning her. The church, her refuge and social lifeline, could no longer be counted on for unconditional support. "I suggest you lay low for a while," he said gently. "Focus on reflection. Maybe there's room for reconciliation." That same day, Jamal found himself reluctantly seated in the police station, facing Officer Derek Lawson. The meeting had been arranged at the insistence of a mutual friend, but Jamal was wary. Derek represented the same system that had ignored him and his family for years. Derek leaned back in his chair, running a hand through his salt and pepper hair. "Look, Jamal, I've been around long enough to know when things are about to explode. This video's gonna light a fire under people." Jamal crossed his arms. "I didn't ask for any of this, Derek." "I know," Derek said, his voice surprisingly soft. "But that won't stop people from taking sides." The officer leaned forward, resting his elbows on the desk. "I'm just trying to keep things from getting worse. There's going to be protests, tension, hell, maybe even violence. You need to be careful." Jamal clenched his jaw. "So what? I stay quiet and let people walk all over me?" Derek shook his head. "I'm not saying that. Just think about what you want from all this. You're in the spotlight now, whether you like it or not." Jamal stared at the officer, feeling the weight of the decision ahead. Staying silent wasn't an option. But how far was he willing to go to make his voice heard? Hannah returned home to an empty house, the quiet pressing in on her like a heavy blanket. She sat on the edge of her bed, scrolling through social media, watching her reputation unravel post by post. One friend had unfollowed her. Another had posted a vague status about disappointment in people you thought you knew. The charitable events she was once at the center of now seemed distant, as if they belonged to another life. She tried calling a close friend, someone she leaned on for years, but the call went to voicemail. "Hey, it's Hannah," she said softly, trying to mask the tremble in her voice. "Just checking in. Call me when you get the chance." She hung up, knowing the call might never come. Her reflection in the mirror caught her eye. For the first time, the polished image she saw, the carefully maintained appearance of control, felt like a stranger staring back at her. That night, Jamal sat on the porch steps of his childhood home, a cool breeze stirring the leaves on the sidewalk. Clara had gone to bed early, leaving him alone with his thoughts. The weight of expectations pressed down on him. His mother's worries, the community's demands, the pressures from social media. He pulled out his phone, opened Twitter, and stared at the blinking cursor. Every word felt like a potential spark, every post a possible explosion. He knew that whatever he said next could shape the narrative, for better or worse. After a long moment, he began to type. "I came back to care for my mother. I didn't come here looking for trouble, but trouble found me. All I want is peace. But peace doesn't come without justice." He hit post before he could second-guess himself. By the next morning, Jamal's post had gone viral. His words resonated with some, while others twisted them into something they weren't. Supporters rallied around him, promising to organize peaceful protests. Critics accused him of stirring the pot. Meanwhile, Hannah's phone remained silent. The world she had known was crumbling, and no amount of charity work or public apologies could rebuild it overnight. And so, the battle lines were drawn, not just between two individuals, but between two visions of what the town could become. As the sun rose over the quiet streets, both Hannah and Jamal knew that the storm was only just beginning.